Hello, I'm Tanya Haladik and welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be talking to you about one of the pieces that makes birth work in your body. So a little piece of physiology of birth. The one thing I want you to take away from this video is that knowing how birth works in your body can help you understand then how to support yourself in labor to help labor progress more quickly, more easefully. One really big piece of how birth works is this feedback cycle that happens where your body produces oxytocin. If you haven't, I don't know, maybe you've heard about oxytocin. We'll talk about it in just a minute. But oxytocin, there's a signal in your brain to produce oxytocin. And then your brain produces oxytocin, makes your uterus squeeze your baby. And that squeezing of your baby, also called contractions, applies your baby's head to your cervix. And then the stretching of your cervix then sends signals back to your brain to create more oxytocin. And so that's this positive feedback loop is how they refer to it in science. Essentially, like the more labor happens, the more it happens. So the more oxytocin happens, the more your uterus contracts, the more your baby's head is applied to the cervix, the more your cervix stretches, and the more that sends signals to your brain to create more oxytocin. And so that keeps happening until the point that your baby is born. Oxytocin is produced the entire point of your labor. One thing that's interesting about what we know about birth is that we don't actually know what starts labor. We have some theories and some ideas, but we don't know for sure if it's something in mom's body or something in baby's body that signals that it's time for labor to start. But we do know that once it starts, it is this positive feedback loop of oxytocin, contraction, squeeze the baby to the cervix, and more oxytocin produced by that signal to the brain. Oxytocin is sometimes referred to as the love hormone or the bonding hormone. It's the hormone of long hugs, good conversation, being with people that you feel safe and trusted with. It's also the hormone of sex and childbirth and breastfeeding. So it really plays this integral role in what it means to be a mammal. It's not something that reptiles produce. It's something specific to mammals, and being that we are mammals as humans, it's kind of this really cool foundation, like hormonal foundation, that creates our need to be together. And the same is true in labor. Oxytocin is the driving force in what creates a baby, and it also is what gets the baby out and feeds the baby. So thinking about oxytocin, it's really helpful to think about what supports the mechanism that creates oxytocin. We feel oxytocin when we feel safe. When we are with people, we are safe. When we're in an environment that's safe, when we feel safe in our bodies. And it's part oxytocin, the production of oxytocin and the sort of what happens in labor is part of the system of our bodies in our nervous system of rest and digest. Maybe you've heard about fight or flights, part of our system, and there's also the rest and digest. So fight or flight is a sympathetic part of our nervous system, and rest and digest is part of the parasympathetic nervous system, and that parasympathetic nervous system is the part that labor takes place in. So stress inhibits the production of oxytocin, and relaxation promotes the production of oxytocin. So that is why a lot of what is taught for coping with labor is about helping you relax. We'll talk more about that in other videos that I'm going to make, but I really want to stress, ironic word, I guess, I really want to impart on you that really one way that can really help ease labor is just to create an environment both inside yourself and outside yourself that supports labor. One of the ways I like to illustrate the kind of the space that you need to be in labor, like other things where rest and digest comes into play, is when you think about digestion or elimination. I don't know if you ever like had a stressful day and like you feel like you kind of have to poop, but you can't quite make it happen. And then you get home and relax and it happens and poop happens. Or how it's like you might feel like you need to poop, but you go into a public stall and there's other people around. So you have that, for many of us, that inhibition feeling where it's harder to poop because you're not, one, in an environment that you feel comfortable in, two, there's other people around that you don't know and trust. And it's one of the reasons why, why it can be hard to poop in public. And likewise with labor, well, it's obviously slightly different. It's similar, like laboring in public, laboring among people that you don't know and trust, laboring in spaces that don't make you feel relaxed, can really inhibit that sense of labor. And so thinking about that in creating your space, but also thinking about that in terms of your internal space. A lot of us carry stress, even when the stress isn't actually happening. And so finding a way to calm your mind and so that your mind can get out of the way and you can labor effectively. So one way to think about those stresses, both internally and externally, is to think about how those mechanisms developed. We talk a lot about our caveman selves and needing to run from danger, run from a big beast, a tiger. So thinking about how to eliminate those tigers from your birthing experience, both internally and externally, and how to prepare an environment where you feel supported and that you can relax. So I have some homework for you if you are game for it, which is to start thinking about while you're out in the world, while you're in your home, thinking about the things that help you feel relaxed and the things that make you feel stressed out. So just kind of noticing that response in yourself, like I'm driving in traffic and I've noticed that I'm feeling like tight and stressed out, or I'm at home in the bath. That feels really relaxing, or I'm listening to some music that makes me feel relaxed. And just starting to think about people in your life that feel really relaxing and people in your life that don't feel really relaxing, that you feel pressured by or stressed by. And even if you love them, sometimes they're not the people to have at your birth. Like some people feel like they want to have their parents in the room, their mom or their parent or their partner's mom in the room. But when they really think about how they feel in their body about that, that actually feels not very relaxing and feels stressful. And also thinking about like what you already have that helps you relax, and then what you could cultivate to bring into that space. And I'm going to do more videos about how to prepare for childbirth, so you'll be able to find those as I release them. But most of us already have some things in our toolkit too. Or maybe you've heard of something that you were thinking about looking into for preparing for childbirth. I have a handout that I'm going to put in the show notes that you can download that will help you. It's a worksheet to help you work through some of these ideas of starting to track in your own life when you are in more of a parasympathetic state, in that rest and digest state versus the fight or flight, and kind of starting to think about building that internal and external environment that will help you labor at your best. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, go ahead and give it a like, and if you want to hear more from me, subscribe. You can also share this video if you know somebody else who might benefit from hearing about it. Thank you for staying to the end of my video, and I hope to see you in the next one. All right, thanks. Bye.